We all have a stake in protecting forests, even if we live in a city. They're critical for our health, for our water supply. They protect us from storms and wildfires. They supply us with pollinators and regulate our local climate. They keep our communities cool. They improve our air quality. Biodiversity loss is one of the biggest threats facing our global economy, and climate change has consistently been one of the largest threats as well. It's been estimated that over half of GDP globally is dependent on nature. So if we're not integrating that value into our economic systems and into prices, there's a huge blind spot. And so the question for all of us is, what are we willing to do to ensure that we have forest in our future? I started writing letters to the mayor at a young age to try to address deforestation in our community. Sadly, most of that forest is gone today, but I've continued to work on those issues globally. My name is Carter Ingram. I'm a managing director at Pollination. We're focused on helping to catalyze the transition to a net zero future and an economy that contributes to a nature positive future. I did my PhD in Madagascar to try to understand how forests were affecting communities that lived and depended on forest-based resources for their livelihoods and well-being. And I've continued to work outside of Madagascar on understanding what are the drivers of deforestation and how can we develop incentives and strategies to stem deforestation while benefiting communities that depend on forests. There are a whole suite of risks that are posed by climate change, such as wildfires, hurricanes, health outcomes that can be reduced by investing in nature. A recent study in the US estimated that wildfires cost the US economy about $400 billion to $900 billion. We need to encourage investments in businesses and practices that protect and restore forests. And finance can play a really important role in that by funding projects that protect and restore nature and diverting finance away from activities that harm nature. We need to integrate the many different values that nature provides to our economy into our economic accounting. Finance can support restoring traditional practices in forest management by ensuring that any investment in forestry include Indigenous people and Indigenous knowledge, and that is valued in an equitable and just way. And that's just good business sense. We need GDP to also reflect the value that nature provides to our economy. We've made significant advances in our ability to measure the different aspects of nature, from species to ecosystems, to the benefits that they provide through satellite remote sensing, AI, and new technologies. For example, a relatively recent scientific study estimated that the state of Maryland's wetlands helped reduce damage from Hurricane Sandy by about 30%. Our ability to accurately and credibly measure nature will enable businesses, financial institutions, and other organizations to understand their impacts and dependencies on nature, how those result in financial risks and opportunities, and how to manage those risks and opportunities within investment decisions, business strategies, operations, supply chains, and new business models. Nature is finally on the business and financial agenda. Nature is different everywhere, and you have to manage nature differently for different types of ecosystem services. I'm hopeful that we have all the solutions we need, and now we need to scale it up.